Let's talk about AEW Dynamite first. The thing everybody's talking about, the character arc and the story development of one Maxwell Jacob Freeman, yet again giving another stellar promo. And you could say one of 3 promos this year have been promo of the year, and this is definitely going to be one of them on the conversation. He comes out, interrupts William Regal. He talks about an email that he received from William Regal when he tried out for WWE and basically said, hey, give me your tapes, give you notes on it. And after the 3rd tape that he gave him, William Regal basically said, thanks, but no thanks. Stop sending me this stuff. MJF took it to heart, said that he almost killed himself over it, but that would prove the naysayers right. That would prove William Regal right. And now at 26 years old, he is at top of the wrestling industry, one of the top guys in the industry, and including, bringing up the 2024 bidding war where William Regal's former employer will try to do whatever they can to bring MJF to WWE. But William Regal also had some nice comebacks himself where he basically said that MJF just cuts corners. You always get help to get where you need to be. You haven't done it for yourself. You haven't earned anything yet. And obviously what happened later on in the show definitely, added to this storyline. I honestly think this was MJF's best promo of the year. Maybe even the best promo he's done in AEW. Maybe you call it recency bias, but I don't know, something about that promo you just connected with like you haven't with other MJF promos.
Well, I think it's one of those things where one, it was a long segment. I mean, it had to be like 15, 20 minutes. I definitely didn't feel like it went long or overstayed its welcome. I felt like I was invested the entire time. Even though it's something that happened on a wrestling show, didn't feel like a wrestling segment, so to speak. Like it didn't really seem like it. It's MJF. He's amazing. He's going to cut a good promo every time, but there were layers to it. There was deep meaning behind it. It wasn't just like your traditional, he goes out, he confronts Moxley or Moxley confronts another guy and they're going to talk about, and we saw this last week with Hangman, the Hangman Page thing was very similar. There was an emotional attachment, I think. There's starting to tell the story of why MJF is the way he is, why he's become the guy he's become, why maybe he's jaded. I think, 2 weeks ago, he said he hates the person he is when he walks out that curtain because he knows he the person he has to be. He's willing to do these things to make it to the top. And, that's not just him going out there and bragging about how good he is anymore. They're actually taking the time to explain why he's the way he is. And I loved it. I thought this was great. I thought it told a good story. I liked the way that it tied into the end of the show. I thought William Regal did a great job in this as well. And I'm excited to see where this goes from here. In my opinion, I really don't think there's anybody in wrestling that can cut a promo quite like he can, or at least captivate the audience and make them care the way he can.
No, I totally agree. And I think I've seen some people say this has humanized MJF in a way where, you kind of see he's just doing things to get people to hate him, but now he's just like laying it all out. And I've even seen some people say this is kind of a new layer to MJF where all his heroes that he deals with and all the people he respects, he's actually vulnerable to, whether it's CM Punk, whether it's William Regal, and even to a point, even Wheeler Yuta. So I actually like where this is going. And obviously what we saw on the end of AEW Dynamite just added to this storyline. And I mean, you had some really good things, but you also some very unfortunate things. And it was the AEW World Championship match, Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page, unfortunately gets cut short because Adam Hangman Page takes a lariat from Moxley, took a flip and landed wrong on his head and did not get up after that. Had to be stretchered out. The match is called off. Moxley declared the winner. We did find out, though, today from Dave Meltzer, along others, and even Hangman Page has addressed people on Twitter. He is doing much better now, but he has suffered a concussion during the AEW Championship match. First off, let's talk about the injury itself. That could have gone a lot worse. And I know some people were saying it looked like a work and an odd way to finish the match. But then when you see it in slow motion, it was no doubt something went wrong on that spot.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. I think, many people are critical of AEW, the stuff that you see in the ring, outside of the ring, and how sometimes you can criticize it and say, it's not safe, they're not trained correctly. And I'm not saying I feel that way. I'm just saying that there certainly are people that will criticize AEW for that. But to think of all moves that somebody would get hurt on, and granted, I know it was like kind of the flip or rotation and him landing on his head, but I initially did think it was a work because I just thought to myself it was a clothesline, and that move itself has just become, just any other transitional move or a move that you see in probably multiple matches, multiple times a night. And it's just weird. Like, it just goes to show you how dangerous this sport can really be and how fragile everything can really be. And as I'm watching it back, like, I'm trying to see if like he's moving his legs, his arms, and I really didn't see any movement at all. So I thought initially it was kind of like maybe a neck injury and something like that. It is a concussion. I'm pretty sure he'll be able to recover from that. But yeah, definitely a scary moment.
No, it definitely was. And watching it back, you could kind of see when he makes impact with the ring, his neck kind of goes in an awkward position.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, oh, is this a broken neck? It doesn't look good. But the fact that it only comes out as a concussion, which then again, that doesn't necessarily mean he's out of the woods yet, because we have guys like Adam Cole, who we have not seen in a ring since Forbidden Door, and he sustained a concussion. So, I mean, it could be a long road ahead for Adam Hangman Page, or it could be as simple as a week or two. We don't know, because concussions are one of those things where it's a case-by-case basis. Hopefully it's a speedy recovery for him, and he could be back in the ring and entertaining us all, sooner rather than later. But after this match, because, I feel like the way the show ended was the way it was supposed to end. Just the stuff in between the end of the match and when Moxley started, obviously, was kind of them improvising. So Moxley gets on the mic. He pretty much tells everyone it's a dangerous sport. Hopefully Hangman Page is okay. But he calls out MJF and tells him to cash in on that chip. MJF comes out with the chip, with Bryce Remsburg, gives the chip to William Regal, then runs up the ramp, grabs a microphone from the announcer's desk, and he just says, this time I'm going to earn it. I'm not going to do heelish tactics. I'm going to win that AEW World Championship with Jon Moxley at 100%. I'm going to do it at Full Gear. So it's confirmed, Jon Moxley versus MJF, Full Gear. Do you think these two promos tonight from MJF solidified a babyface turn for MJF?
I mean, at face value, and I even texted you that, I do think it looked like a babyface turn, but you don't really know what you're going to get out of MJF. He could be doing all of this, and then suddenly when it comes time for that match, he could certainly cheat to win, and that could have been just like his bait and switch tactics to try and get people behind him, feel sympathy for him, and let their guard down. And maybe he truly doesn't intend to earn it. But right now, it does seem like they're definitely trying to move him towards a face turn.
I know you've been kind of on the train the last few weeks of it's inevitable. MJF has to go babyface. The crowd just loves him too much. But at the same time, this is MJF, and he just finds ways to get people to boo him. On the other side, you do have William Regal in this whole equation. And, he has his brass knucks. MJF has the ring. And, Regal calls himself the gentleman villain or something like that. So I'd be interested to see. I feel like Regal is going to cost Moxley that world title and join forces with MJF.
I think that's a scenario that we could likely see as well. I do feel like MJF can turn face without going full, true blue face, not necessarily cut on the hometown fans, just the talent, and he'd be fine.
Kind of like an anti-hero, like Austin was, essentially.
Exactly.